Well, hello everybody. I want in this short video to explain some basics on why I became involved in supporting Tommy Robinson. Tommy Robinson by no means is a perfect person, and I've got a series called The Crimes of Tommy Robinson where I try to put a balance on it, but I accept I'm biased because I really do support him. I think he's a very brave man. But I want to explain to someone maybe not knowing about the UK and how corrupt we are as a country. And I want to explain it very simply. I want you to imagine a man who has a young daughter, say 13, being gang raped in a house, finds out, goes to retrieve his daughter. So he's banging at the door. In this case, Pakistani man, it doesn't blame all Pakistanis, we have to say all that, but in this case, a Pakistani grooming gang raping her, call the police. Yes? The police come to the door and take away the father because, the daughter is asking for it. Now, that does sound extreme, doesn't it? It really does sound ridiculous. But that's the world that Tommy has been exposing for years. And if you don't believe me, let's go to our government and a select committee on this who are questioning the chief constable of that particular force.
Paragraph 5.3 of the report says that in 2008, an 11-year-old girl came to the attention of the police after she disclosed that she and another child had been sexually abused by a group of adult males. Just a few weeks later, she was found in a derelict house with another child and a number of adult males. Yet she was arrested, 11 years of age, she was arrested for being drunk and disorderly, and none of the males were arrested. Has your force identified the police officers involved in that and found out what went on?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right. In paragraph 5.21...
Sorry, will you find out?
We will. Apologies,
and
yes.
tell us next week. We
I will
have a don't know on these issues.
Correct. I will have an answer to that question next week.
Paragraph 5.21 shows how a police officer dismissed the case of a 12-year-old girl who'd been having sex with up to 5 Asian males because he said she had been, quote, 100% consensual in every incident. 12 years of age? I think that's unbelievable, to be honest. Have you identified who that officer was and found out what happened there?
Can I just make one thing clear? That I've said today that we must have an independent investigation team to come back at this. I have also personally spoken to the Director of Investigations at the IPCC.
Chief Constable, just finish. Please finish.
I've also personally spoken to the Director of Investigations at the IPCC, and in order to involve them in this as well.
Well, if people I was responsible for managing, if a report landed on my desk well over a week ago now, saying that people I was responsible for had behaved like that, I'd want to know pretty quickly what on earth had happened. In paragraph 5.9, it says that fathers had tracked down their daughters and tried to remove them from houses where they were being abused, only to find themselves arrested when police were called to the scene. Do you know what happened in that case?
Chair, I don't seek to defend any of this.
Now, just to note that in that committee, it was headed by a chairman of the committee called Keith Vance. He was chairman of the Home Affairs Select Committee from July 2007, but resigned from this role on the 6th of September 2016 after the Sunday Mirror revealed he had engaged in unprotected sexual activity with male sex workers and had said he would pay for cocaine if they wished to use it. So he left in disgrace. Now, an organisation was mentioned in that was the CPS, our Crown Prosecution Service, and the head of that was our current Prime Minister, Starmer, who was head of the CPS between 2008 and 2013. At the time, these crimes, these events were going on. Today, there is a public outcry in the UK for an official inquiry into grooming gangs, which affect at least 50 of our towns and cities. And Starmer, our Prime Minister, refuses to do it. It's as simple as that. So having watched that, that's way back in 2014 when the first reports came out. Nothing's happened in the last 11 years to change it. It's still going on today. And the problem is our institutions are corrupt. That means the social services, the police and the government are corrupt. So for the person who exposes this, who's even had a relative, a victim of it, which is Tommy Robinson, yes, well, the person you know is Tommy Robinson, he has been totally victimised by the establishment. Now, to get away from the actual problem, which is Pakistani grooming gangs in the main, yeah, to get away from that and the simple truth of that, what they do is they home in on Tommy Robinson. And this is what's said in our parliament about him. Just watch this.
A loathsome, obnoxious, repellent individual.
Today we have learned that yesterday the violent racist thug and fraudster known as Stephen Yatsley Lennon, or Tommy Robinson, was invited onto the estate and wined and dined in the House of Lords yesterday. Mr. Speaker, I understand that sometimes we have to engage in views that one might not agree with, but surely the fact that a man who is as guilty as he is on stirring up racial hatred, organising violent, thuggish crimes around the country, setting up the EDL and everything that comes with it, crosses a line. And such a person shouldn't be invited to walk amongst us on the parliamentary estate.
I share his assessment of the individual concerned. A loathsome, obnoxious, repellent individual. And I make no bones about my view being the same as his on that front.
The double standards here are simply amazing. Known terrorist organisations are welcomed into Parliament, and the Speaker, he says nothing. So there you have it. We have an establishment where it's okay, no one in Parliament objects like that to Hamas coming on to the parliamentary estate, being invited on, or Hezbollah, known terrorist, declared terrorist organisations. That's fine, no one's going to moan. But, they've got to pillorise, they've got to accuse him of white supremacy? No. I had dinner with him with multiracial friends. He was brought up in a multiracial society. A lot of his friends actually were Muslim and still are. So it's not like people think. Even the founding of the EDL, the English Defence League, was black and white unite were the posters. Yes, it was always multiracial, but the truth does not matter to our establishment, and we need a public inquiry into the grooming gangs, right? We've never had one, and the truth is this: we have to look at the police, the social services, everything. We have to look at how this was covered up, and there's been no looking at that, and the establishment are blocking that. So Elon Musk, you're right. We need some big disruption here, and thank you for starting this off, because Tommy really needed that help. And thank you everyone for watching. Just so you know, this is how many officials in the cover-ups of these raping gangs in social services, government, local councils, police have been arrested for the cover-up in all these decades. And here is the amount of them, the number of them. None.